Hey everybody, and welcome. And today I want to show you how to make your own custom OpenAI gym environment. This is going to be important if you want to do any sort of reinforcement learning training on something beyond what OpenAI Gym typically provides you, such as like Mujoku or Cinder Robotics or Classic Control or Atari environments. All those are great and interesting, but let's say you have an industrial application, something for your business, or you have a new project that you want to try to develop or work with, some new experiments, then you're going to need to go in and build your own environment at some point. On top of that, by making it compatible with the OpenAI Gym environment, you are able to make your environment work out with a lot of out-of-the-box algorithms that you can get on GitHub from Ray or from OpenAI itself, and some of those other packages can just run seamlessly with it because they all rely on that same sort of standard API to be able to work. So you can check out all these details at my site at datahubs.com. Just go look for OpenAI or reinforcement learning, and it'll pop right up for you, and you can look at all the steps. But for those of you who prefer video tutorials, I'm just going to walk through on the command line real quick and show you step by step. So here I've got a command line open, and we can dive in and get started. The only requirement that you need is to have Python installed, and you need to have gym installed. So I've already got that taken care of, but if you don't, just type pip install gym and you can get that and be able to follow along and work with this. So without any further ado, let's just start off from the top, and start with an environment. We just make our directory, and we're going to call it custom gym. Let's just hop into there, and this is just going to be our top level directory just to organize our files and what we're working with. The first file we're going to create is a setup.py. So what setup.py does is that allows you to take care of all of your installation requirements, so that when you actually do finally build out your environment, you can just run pip install on your setup file, and it will go ahead and install everything, and then you can go ahead and use normal Python import commands and be able to work with that environment that you've built. So we're just going to open it up here in Nano, use whatever text editor you want. You can do it from the command line, whatever you feel like. It's just a couple of quick commands. So we're going to have our setup tools that we need to import, and import the setup function. And then for setup, which is really the only function that we're going to be calling, we'll give a name. Let's call it custom environment. Again, being very generic with these. And let's give it version equals 0.1. And then the thing that you need to put is your install requirements. So you give the argument install requires. We are going to need gym for this. If you need NumPy or say Torch or whatever else that you might need to be able to make your thing run properly, put it here so that it ensures that it's installed. And then if anybody else works with this, they can just run their setup file and it will install that as well if it's not. So that's all you need for your setup file. So go ahead and exit out of there, make sure it saves, and you're ready to go. Now we need to make another directory, and we're just going to call that environments. And again, this is following along with the way that you'll find the OpenAI Gym folder structure organized on GitHub. So we make environments next, cd into there to get into the directory, and then we have another file that we need to make, which is our init.py file to initialize everything. Open it in your text editor as well. So again, I'm just going to use Nano for ease here. And then within this environment, within this file, we need to actually do some of our import commands. So we need to import from gym. This is what you should have installed already at the beginning. Registration import register. All right, and then we use this register function, and we provide an ID. So if you're familiar with this and you call your typical gym.make to be able to make your environment, this is where you set that command. So if you have like Cartpole version 0 or something like that, or Mountain Car version 1, Atari, not Atari, but Pong version 4, something along those lines, that's where that's set. And note that you have to have this same sort of syntax where you have the name followed by a hyphen, followed by a lowercase v and a number. Otherwise, you're going to get some sort of error. They have a regular expression checker just to make sure everything follows that same sort of convention. And then what you put beyond that is entry point. And this is simply going to point to your environment directory. So we haven't built this next directory yet, but we'll do it in just a second. And then we point to the class that we're going to import. So right now we're sitting in the envs or environments folder. And then we are going to make a custom environment directory that sits below that. Again, in the OpenAI Gym GitHub, you'll see this is labeled, say, classic control or robotics or something like that. So, but whatever your name suits you there. And then we have our custom environment, which is the class that we tie to this particular ID. Now, there are other things that you can go ahead and enter in, such as maximum number of episode steps or reward threshold or keyword arguments or anything like that that your environment might require. But we're just going to leave those aside for now and stick with the bare basics of just using the register as such. So again, save it and exit, and we make that custom environment directory that we just put into that init file, and we're going to cd into that as well. All right, now we're at the home stretch, almost done with this. It's not too bad. So we're going to go ahead and make our custom environment here, and so this is where we actually make all the magic happen for our particular environment that we're concerned with. So go ahead and get that open, and from here we just need to do a couple of quick little imports. Import gym, and then we make our class. And so we called this custom environment, and it's going to inherit from the gym environment just gym.env. All right, and now there are three methods that this class is going to require to work properly. It's going to need an initialize method, a step method, and a reset method. And for each of these, I'm just going to print an output. Typically what you would do, especially for the step and the reset, is that you have returns of rewards, states, whether or not the episode is complete, a done statement, stuff like that. That's typically what comes out here. I'm just going to print rather than try to code something up that will take 30 45 minutes of you just watching me on the keyboard. So let's just go ahead and get def __ init self, and then we're just going to print environment initialized, just like that. Def step self, and then print step success def, make sure we get the right number of spaces, def what was it, reset, right, self, and then we'll just print something else here, environment reset. All right, so we just got a few little print statements. Again, this won't work for any reinforcement learning, but we're just going to put this in place to ensure that the mechanics of building our environment and setting it up and installing it work properly. So with this type of API and layout that we want to build. So go ahead, exit, save, and now we build our last file, which is going to be quite simple. It's another initialization init.py. Nano init, and this just has a single import statement that we need to put into place, and this import statement is going to be based on our current directory structure. So we're going to have from envs, which is 2 levels up, custom environment directory dot custom env, which is the file we just wrote, and then import our class custom env. All right, environments, custom environment directory, and custom env, import our class, and that's it. So let's close out of that. All right, once it's saved, so now we have 2 files, our custom environment and our initialized file. We go up to the envs, and we have one file, our initialized file, and another directory. And we go up one more level, and we should have a directory for our environments and our setup file. So once we're up here, we can just run pip install e dot, and this is going to go ahead and install our file using our setup file. All right, and successfully installed a custom environment. That should be the output at the end, and we're ready to actually work with it now. So if you want to test it and make sure that it works properly, start a Python interpreter, and then from there we just go to import gym, and then we say import environments, or whatever you want to call it. And then we have env, so our particular one, and we call gym.make, and here's where we invoke it for the moment of truth, custom env version 0. All right, it printed out environment initialized, so we're ready to go. Environment step, we get step success, and then we can reset it as well, and we get our environment reset. So that's how it works. If you have any issues, you can just always reinstall using pip once you make your changes, and it will uninstall it and reinstall. If you just want to completely uninstall it, pip uninstall custom env, and then you uninstall everything that you just did. Oh, yes. And you're back to normal. So that's it. That's how you go ahead and structure your files and get everything for a custom environment. So all the magic happens really in that custom environment file, that Python file at the very end that I showed you, and then you can go ahead and play with it and make it work with your reinforcement learning objectives. So go forth, have fun, and let me know if you have any questions.